Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Empyre, issue number 1. This is the new event from Marvel that's supposed to change everything. I'm going to tell you right now, I really did not like this. I've got quite several complaints to make about this. I'm going to get into Marvel history and how some things you had better be damn sure of yourself if you're going to start changing stuff. But I digress. First, let's get into who made this book. We'll talk a little bit about the book itself and then some of my opinions on it. All right, let's get started. So this huge double-page spread where you can find out everything that's going on, right? The story is by Al Ewing and Dan Slott. The script of this particular issue is by Al Ewing. The artist is Valerio Scheide. Marty Gracia did the color art. The letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna, and Jim Chung and Frank Martin did the cover. Variant covers by a lot of freaky people, and Carlos Long did the graphic design. Okay, so basically, this is kind of interesting. I thought they were actually going to do something more with this, but unfortunately not. They indicated, okay, so the Fantastic Four, which travel the cosmic spaceways all the time, they're way out here, and the Avengers are on Earth. So with these two meeting in the middle to find the war fleet of the Kree and the Skrull United Empire coming at them is supposed to be like a holy crap, how did this suddenly happen? Now we've also got Joven and Nakala, the Skrull and Kree warriors, specifically actually the Kree and Skrull respectively. Anyway, the Nakala and Kala, doesn't that sound like, you know, the Wakandan term? Like why would they do that? Anyway, whatever. So this, basically, this feels a lot like, Jason Aaron. That's what this feels like. It feels like Jason Aaron snuck in and killed Ewing and Slott and said, I'm going to do this story. And nobody's going to realize. So everybody thinks that I'm going a little bit too crazy and too outlandish with my stuff, huh? Yeah? Well, watch when I do this stuff and you think it was somebody else. I'm pretty sure I saw Moon Knight controlling Mjolnir someplace on the dark side of the moon. This is, look, I think I was trying to remember specifically because I'm not sure what it was, but I did feel like the meeting between the Kotatul and the Avengers was a little bit too freaky. It actually felt kind of rapey to me. As much as weird as that might sound, maybe that's going to make more sense if you read this issue. It was so weird that they're just like, hey, I'm always glad to see you. Thor was like, oh my God, it's so great to see you. It's always good to see you. You're the best. And he's like, yeah, Thor, what's up? I'm the Celestial Messiah, baby. And yeah, you can call me coy, and you're certainly not playing coy, that's for sure. This is weird. It was just really weird, but if I remember correctly, Iron Man kept his helmet on and the mask down, the visor down the whole entire time. If he did, well, that's kind of important. But I guess if he wasn't using his life support systems and he was just using the regular ventilation, then it wouldn't matter unless there was there should be a filter at least, shouldn't there? Because it felt like maybe there were pheromones or some kind of mind control thing going on. It just felt really weird in that issue. So I guess that was kind of important for them to do. Either way, look, man, I've already gone into the Kree-Skrull War in the road to Empyre. I've talked about this many times. I'm not going to do it again in this video. What I am going to say is this does not feel like a natural succession to that. Iron Man is just acting really, I mean, like, Iron Man's a jerk, okay? I love Iron Man. I've probably read more Iron Man than you. You want to go? Let's go. And I'm telling you, one of the reasons why I love Iron Man is because he is such a jerk. But this was a little bit like you're a stupid jerk at this point. He's just, and everybody was acting weird because, like, he's like, yeah, all right, we're gonna fight. And you're thinking, well, maybe it's because the Avengers met up with the Kotatul and the Fantastic Four didn't. Unfortunately, Sue Storm goes and says at one point to Kl'rt, the Super Skrull, you better shut up and I'm not going to tell you again. Excuse you? I'm sorry, when does she talk like that? She talked like that in the Fantastic Four Avengers, or Fantastic Four X-Men thing that We're still waiting for issue 4 of that to drop from Zordowski. But I mean, for the most part, she doesn't usually talk like that. That's not her, you know? So that feels like malice took her over. And everybody's just acting like a jerk here. Everybody's rushing it. I mean, I know that like the most standard trope you are always going to find in Marvel, more than any other trope you could possibly imagine, is we got to do some stuff. There's no time. We have to do it now. So I gave you an elevator pitch of why I have to do it. If you can't understand it, well then, I think it's just going to be easier to fight you. That's always the biggest trope that they do in Marvel. And we always leave a lot of leeway. I know that a lot of us complain about it. I complain about it because sometimes it's like, dude, if it's a trope, it's a trope. But sometimes you're really relying on us to just be okay with it. In this particular case, they're on their knees begging, please just let this one slide. And this does not feel natural at all. There are a couple of cool things in here. Like at one point, T'Challa is trying to talk to the Super Skrull, Clark, like, you know, oh, as two leaders of our nations and stuff like that, let's have a conversation. Look, on Earth here, if T'Challa were real, he would be epic. But only here on Earth. If I'm out in space and I'm in front of the Super Skrull or anybody who's in charge of an empire, T'Challa, sit down, shut up. You can't even get the people of Earth to listen to you. This guy not only controls his whole planet, he controls an empire, multiple planets. You are nothing compared to this guy. And I love that they pointed that out in here. That simple, that quick, just boom, get in your place, son, because that's not how we roll here. I like that because Panther is a hell of a guy, but out in space, sorry. Just like when they showed Tony Stark, like, you know, oh, I'm the chief engineer, pretty much. The chief engineer on, you know, on Earth. But when he was in that Guardians of the Galaxy issue #1, they were laughing at him like this weak tech, and that was like the most advanced armor that he'd used. So out in space, Earth is a backwater toilet, you know, recess of a planet. And they even mentioned something to that effect in here again. And I love when they do that because it's essentially true. All these other, you know, planets, they've always had species come to Earth way back when Marvel was still Atlas. All these, you know, planets, all these people were coming to us. We never went out to them for the most part. So I love that they actually make that a part of it. So little things like that to put, you know, certain characters in their place. Excellent. Excellent. In the grand scheme of things, that is. But then we get little things like Captain America should not have been in this comic book. Because for one thing, I'm expecting Black Panther to be like, Tony, shut up. What are you doing? You're not even listening. Like they said something, you right away jump in and start saying it's all propaganda. What you're doing is propaganda right now. T'Challa should have said something. And the only person who should have been even quicker to say something is the guy who's always putting Tony in check. And he's just as smart and just as quick-witted as T'Challa, and that's Steve Rogers. And he just sat there the whole time, and I don't even want Steve Rogers in this comic book. Too many things in here where they were too dependent upon trope. Like, oh, the great trope god. And I really didn't like it. There were parts in here I wanted to. There were parts in here that felt very Fantastic Four-ish. Like when Thing goes and says to Hulkling, hey, you know, come on, help us out in this. And I'll even let you say it's clobbering time. So at one point he does say it's clobbering time. And just as Ben Grimm is about to say something, freaking Human Torch, Johnny Storm, is right behind him. He's like, ain't that a revolt development? He's like, oh, shut up. Like, I think you got hit from both sides. He was directly behind him, too, when that guy was in front. So it was like, bam, bam, yes! I love that. That was great. Stuff like that. This is the stuff that makes me love reading the comic books. But when you've got an overall story arc, and here's the thing that kills me, and this is kind of a spoiler for what's happening in this book, it turns out that the Kotatul are actually evil. Even if they're not evil, even if there's a good reason for it, what they're doing is they're committing violence. And the defining feature of this race, this species, is that they're nonviolent. They've booted people for being violent. Look, maybe later on, maybe later on you're going to come to find out that, oh, check it out. Oh, there was a reason for stuff, well, you know, this stuff to happen. They've been this or that or whatever. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. But I read this comic book, and I just wanted to put it away and never look at it again and never bother getting issue 2. I, right now, pretty much hated this comic book. There was just so much wrong with the story. Now, the art, for the most part, is pretty good, all right? Not even just pretty good. Like, it's amazing. There are some moments in here that are just out of this world. Look at the ship design and most of it, like the design of Ben Grimm and just a lot of, you know, what's going on here. Here's another problem that I see, though. Take a look at Reed Richards. In most of the scenes, Reed Richard, he looks like Paul Giamatti. Not nowadays, because he's older and balder. But back in the day when he would do movies like The Illusionist, you know, and stuff like that, and he was in the Punisher War Journal as somebody, not War Journal, whatever. He was in one of them. Yeah, Punisher War Journal, I think it was called. Anyway, just, Reed Richards looks like Paul Giamatti. Oh, you remember him? He played the Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man Part 2? Yeah. He's, you know, in the truck, and he's all, ah! Tell me that's not him. Tell me these images of Reed do not look like Paul frickin' Giamatti. So, like, there's, and that's really the only problem that I have with the art. Other than that, the art was pretty damn solid. A couple scenes where a couple of the people, like the regular, you know, humans, just looked a little bit blocky, you know, which is whatever. I guess it's going to happen once in a while. But, man, this comic book, issue number 1, as excited as I was for Road to Empyre, and as excited as I was when I read the 2 preludes, the Fantastic Four and the Avengers preludes to Empyre, when I read issue 1 of this, like I said, I don't think I'm going to be reading issue 2. For the most part, no promises, all right? But I genuinely did not like this book. They just changed too much. Turning the Kotatul into a world, like maybe that's the reason why they were waiting for the celestial messiah and whatnot. Maybe, sure, I guess, whatever. I don't care. I don't think that should have been the case. See, if they were going in the direction of, oh, well, it turns out that the garden is actually poisonous because stuff. Okay, fine. Fine. And it was actually going to kill the Earth, and Hulkling actually sent the Kree and Skrull together to try and save the Earth from the poison or whatever. Okay, fine. But it's just, it's making them violent. And I did not like this comic book. If I do read any of the next Empyre issues, it's going to be, I'm going to walk in with a very, very negative vibe. Guys, I did also read Fantastic Four, issue number 21. I thought it was 22. Issue number 21, which is an Empyre tie-in. Go check out that review also. I actually liked it better than this, but ish. Anyway, we'll talk about it, and I'll see you when I see you. Drop a like. Consider allowing a video ad to play. You don't even have to watch the ad. Just open up the next video in a different screen so that that ad can play, so that, you know, your favorite YouTubers can make money. After that, I'm done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.